Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is trainer education, and we're going to discuss 5 steps to increase confidence. So I've been working on a website for the gym. It's actually up and active. However, I still want to update some new features to it and whatnot. But part of the process of creating the website, I was trying to figure out a little bit more details about my history. So, of course, I've been involved in my own history, but sometimes you don't always pay attention to the numbers and you just kind of keep cranking through things, and it's fun sometimes to stop and look back. And one of the things I was thinking through is how many people I have kind of helped with or consulted or taken through kind of personal trainer development. And I realized it's been well over 500 people. So I used to teach at the university, and I taught for 7.5 years. And I taught personal trainer kind of like developing classes. So I taught like weight training stuff where we would teach how to write training plans for different goals and how to write nutrition plans for different goals. I've also hosted interns. I've helped dozens and dozens of clients who became trainers or were trainers, and I'm still helping a lot of trainers. Actually, half my clients are trainers, personal trainers, and a lot of gym consultations. So I've been asked to go to different gyms and try to figure out how to increase their sales for personal training type related sales. And the combination of everything has been well over 500 people, so it's pretty cool to look through that. And the reason why I mention that is I want to talk about today was 5 steps to build confidence. And I wanted to say that I've seen like a lot of people, 500 some people, go through the process of this. And it is not uncommon at all to have kind of low confidence at first, or kind of question your confidence at first. No issues whatsoever there. It's just working through it to try to find out whatever you were uncomfortable with, whether that's knowledge, whether that's teaching style, whether that's, just being around different people with different needs, whatever your issues of confidence are, we can help with that. And I've seen people do that, like I said, over 500 sometimes, build their confidence. So if you're not confident right away, don't worry, no one is. So everybody has to kind of learn it and figure it out as they go. So I had to do the same thing myself, and so have 500 other people I've helped. So if you have any lack of confidence, we're going to go through 5 steps on how to improve that today. So the first thing I want to kind of point out, and what I tell everyone I work with to do, is to treat yourself like your first client. So why I say that, and what I mean by that is, the more you take care of your own needs, not only will it help you be mentally healthier, emotionally healthier, to where you can give more to other people. So they say in the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. So I can't give into other people's lives if I'm struggling in my own. So not only is there that benefit to taking care of your own needs, but also as you develop and take care of your own needs, you will increase your trainer knowledge. So not only will you become better emotionally, mentally to help others, but you're also going to learn more, and you're going to kind of tackle your own demons, tackle your own obstacles, and then it'll help you help other people that way. So the more you treat yourself like your first client, it's going to be that motivation to learn more, to do more, to apply more, to be more. So that's a huge, huge factor, and it makes an enormous difference. When I watch trainers who give up their own health, in the process of trying to, like, say, grow their business, everything starts to suffer. Everything. They get into burnout mode. They get grumpy and angry at everybody. They don't do as well at marketing themselves on social media. It starts to sometimes turn into like negative talk on social media, which is never, ever, 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 ever good. Ever. Ever. You should never be negative when you're trying to kind of like sell your services. Like, you'll see people, for example, you should do this and this and this, but I know you won't because no one ever reads. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, don't put out negativity. That's ridiculous. So taking care of your own needs first will absolutely ensure that you continue to grow as a trainer. So no matter what, no matter how tempting it is, because I know I went through the same phase myself. So I've owned Brutal Iron Gym now for 9 years. And when I first started, the first couple of years, I was training 50 hours in person a week to pay bills and get my name to grow, the name of the gym to grow. So that was 50 hours in person a week. Plus, I had to do all their nutrition programming, training programming, clean the gym, repair the equipment, buy new equipment, market, go out and do all the social media stuff, everything. Like every single thing you could possibly have done, I was doing. And it didn't leave a lot of time for training. But I had a really good friend, Tommy, who helped motivate me and keep me going as well. So we shared really cool workouts together. And my workouts may have only been 3 or 4 times a week when I'm used to doing 6 or 7. But I tried to stay with it as best as I could, and that helped a lot. So we're going to talk a little bit further down in this podcast about how what I was doing in my training trickled into my clients' training, and that's a huge, huge benefit to do so. So you have to take care of yourself, no matter how tempting it would be to find kind of time to rest and recover. You still need to train yourself. There's a lot of emotional recovery, mental recovery that you can get through training. So even just 10-15 minute workout is better than nothing. So please, please, please treat yourself like your first client and always take care of yourself. Now, we do have podcast number 111, which talks more in detail about the importance of this and the benefits of it. So you can look that up if you want to learn more about that. It's podcast 111, titled You Are Your First Client. Now, step 2 is don't be afraid to say, I don't know. As a trainer, you will not be able to know the answer to every single thing anyone ever asks you. You will not have all the knowledge of nutrition, all the knowledge of training, all the knowledge of time management, all the knowledge of energy management. You're not going to have all the knowledge of emotional counseling to deal with emotional overeating or emotional undereating. So you can't be everything to everyone. And it is okay if you don't know something to say, I don't know. You must get comfortable saying the words, I don't know. Too often I'll see trainers make up complete bullshit as an answer to a question because they don't want to look like they don't know. Their ego and that gets in the way. They tell their client something that isn't 100% true. The client then eventually figures that out or learns from somebody who did know the answer. They then know that you are full of shit and they will leave you as a trainer. Or they'll be very skeptical, they'll start to question things, and the whole kind of relationship goes downhill. Also, if you lie about what you do or don't know, you aren't then likely to go actually find the right answer. You will instead, for self-protection purposes, you will convince yourself that what you said is true. So you will lie, knowingly, you will know that you lied. But then you'll try to rationalize your lie to yourself to feel better about it, and then you'll believe your rationalized lie rather than what the actual truth is. Now, this happens overwhelmingly all the time. So, believe me on this, I've seen it happen an insane number of times. And we all, including myself, have a tendency to do that. When we get caught without knowing something, it feels like you feel embarrassed. So you want to give an answer. Even if you don't really know what the answer is, it helps you hide from the embarrassment of the moment of not knowing. But then you feel guilty for lying. So you hide from the guilt by convincing yourself that what you said has enough truth to it that it's probably true, and it's still true enough that it's going to help them in what they know, because at least you told them better than what they knew. So you might not have known all of it, but at least you know more than what they knew. So then you're going to convince yourself that what you said was okay, and then you're going to give that answer the next time someone asks, the next time someone asks, the next time someone asks. So don't fall into that trap. Don't be embarrassed if you don't know something. You can't know everything. So I've been being a personal trainer now for 18 years. I've worked with over 2,000 clients. 2,000 clients. I've done tons of guest speaking where I just do open Q&As at various different environments like high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, drug and addiction counseling centers, churches. I've gone to businesses and just kind of talked to businesses during lunch hours on how people can eat healthier. I've went and talked to sports teams. So I've talked to kind of an insane number of people and a large variety of people. I even went and did nutrition talk at a senior citizen center one time, which was hilarious. So because it involved the phrase of, well, if you're not dead yet, you might as well take care of yourself. Because the question kind of came up is, what is the worry about eating healthy when you're already 80 years old and you're probably going to die tomorrow? And I laughingly told him, I said, well, you're not dead yet. So in all of those circumstances, I have, especially when I was younger in my career, got asked questions I didn't know. So I'd tell them, I'd say, hey, you know what? I actually don't know the answer to that. But before I leave, let me get your contact information. Whether that was phone number, email, whatever. I would go find the answer that night. I would send them the answer, and then I would know for the next time someone asked me. So God blessed me with a good brain for this stuff, so I do remember things very well. So I've been fortunate in that sense to where once I look up something once, I tend to retain it very well in regards to nutrition and training information. So as I did that over the years, there became less and less times that people would ask and I wouldn't know. But you only ever get to kind of a high level of knowledge by stumbling your way through the times of low level knowledge. And that's okay. Everybody has to go through that period. Just like if you're trying to learn how to play the guitar, you're not going to play like Jimi Hendrix the first time you touch it. So you have to stumble your way through chords, you have to learn progressions, you have to learn all these other kind of musical structures to eventually then be able to kind of probably abandon all structure and just play from the heart and for fun. So as a trainer, it's the same process. You will have to go through a learning process, and that involves times where you'll be caught without knowing. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't hide from the embarrassment by making up shit. So just say, I don't know. Okay. So now in podcast number 80, we talk about that in more detail. It's titled, Whoops, I Don't Know. So you can go check out podcast number 80 for more detail as well. Now, the next thing is do it first. This is the third step of building confidence. And this is enormous, okay? Is anything you teach to a client, do it first. So I have done everything I possibly can to try to learn how to do things. So for example, I coach people for aesthetic sports like bikini, fitness, figure, and stuff like that. And I've helped people get pro cards, okay, in aesthetic sports and female aesthetic sports. I have learned how to do all of the poses because my clients needed to know how to do the poses. I even practiced them in heels. So yes, I actually found a pair of high heels that fit me when I was younger. And yes, I know all the bikini poses with the little like shoulder shrug, hair flip, little like hip kind of lift to show off the booty. So I know all that stuff, which is ridiculous. And but it's how would you ever be able to coach somebody through something if you don't have familiarity with the sensations and all the little nuances of it? So I tell my interns and my trainers that I coach along the way, I tell all of them that if they're ever going to give an exercise to a client, to make sure they do it first. Now, if I have a client who can, squat 800 pounds and I can't, I'm not going to try to squat 800 pounds. But as long as I know what a very heavy squat feels like, I'm going to be able to relate pretty well. Now, say my best squat ever is 315, and I'm trying to coach somebody who's really actually trying to squat 800 pounds, there are going to be a lot of nuances that are different about a 315-pound squat versus an 800-pound squat. However, somebody who's squatting 800 pounds probably isn't going to ask someone who can only squat 315. So you don't have to worry too much about some of that stuff because they're most likely going to ask somebody who has more experience with it or has worked with multiples of other people who squatted 800 pounds. So within reason, you are going to train people that are near your levels, slightly above or slightly below or really below. So somebody might be a beginner. So make sure before you give somebody something that you do it first. So one of my favorite examples is my mom. I was training her for an aesthetic show. She was having some mental struggles with confidence. So one of the workouts I gave her was a piece of paper that said, go to the gym, I want you to do this. What's on the paper? And I don't want you to, you don't bitch and whine, just do it. I want you to learn how tough you really can be. And that was going to teach her confidence to believe in herself for the rest of the process. The workout was 1,000 squats. So she had to do 1,000 squats in a single workout. And that was what was going to show her how tough she was. So she did that workout. She did an amazing job, crushed it, did the goal. And then years later, she found out that I had done it before her to see if it was possible. So I did 1,000 squats with 135 pounds, which was horrible, by the way. It destroyed me. But it was a great way for me to learn what the human body was really capable of. And then I wanted my mom to experience that as well. So anytime I give clients an exercise, I always make sure I do it first. That's going to do wonders for building your confidence, and it's going to help you learn more things because you might feel that a certain exercise is best for the client, but you've never done it or you wouldn't normally do it. So it's fun to kind of say, hey, you know what, this would be best for that client. Let me learn it too. So it kind of expands your knowledge and your kind of experience as well. So the next thing we have, and the podcast associated with doing it first is podcast 264. So it's titled Do It First. So go check that out for more details on this step of building confidence. The next thing we have is to learn and apply something new each week. So we have podcast 501 titled Repeating Exercises to Increase Knowledge. And what that refers to as, in order to kind of build your confidence over time, it's a great idea, and it helps with motivation as well as a trainer, to learn a new exercise and then try to apply it to all the clients it can possibly apply to for the following week. You can apply it to males versus females, tall versus short, young versus old, very coordinated versus not that coordinated. So you can apply it in different ways in different situations to different people, and that helps you learn the nuances of what would be different per person on an individual basis. So it's a great way to learn individual person knowledge by repeating the exact same exercise with people, but obviously we would be within the idea of modifying it for the individual you're with. So I am going to repeat the exercise, but I might not do it the same way. I might change the reps because this person's goal might be muscular endurance, where the other person's goal might be strength. I might change the body positional emphasis because this person has really bad posture, this person has really good posture. This person has long arms, this person has short arms. This person has long femurs, this person has short femurs. So there's going to be a lot of individual differences. So it teaches you how to modify that concept of the exercise to the individual that's in front of you. So that helps enormously with confidence, is to learn something new and then apply it throughout the week to every client you possibly can. So that experimental type knowledge is, oh my gosh, it's priceless. So those are the first 4 steps. Okay? Treat yourself like a client. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Do it first. Learn and apply something new each week. The 5th thing we have is to dedicate time to education. So this is kind of commonsensical. I don't think that's a word, but I like it. So if you want to learn more, you have to take the time to learn more. Okay. So there are challenges, however, though, in who do I follow, what do I listen to? When I first started personal training, the challenge for knowledge was acquiring it and getting access to it. So I didn't have internet when I first started training. I would be able to go and get Muscle and Fitness magazine once a month. I then graduated to Muscular Development magazine once a month. But I would read that sucker probably within the first 2 or 3 days and then spend the next 27 days without any kind of increased knowledge. I would just experiment with what was in the book. Now that did help. I did learn something, but I could have learned more at a faster rate. So when I first started, the trouble was getting access. Now, the trouble is there's too much access, there's too much knowledge. Who the hell do I listen to? So first of all, I want to say thank you for listening to this podcast because I appreciate that you listen to me. So I do hope that, and I have good reason to believe, but I do hope that I'm a good resource of knowledge. So everything I've ever done has always worked for 2,000 people. Now I've experimented and messed things up and then relearned like what went wrong and then applied it better. So I'm always constantly increasing my own knowledge, and I have, of course, made mistakes here and there along the way, but I've been successful over the long term. So I've been a personal trainer for 18 years. And for the last 9 years with owning Brutal Iron Gym, it's the only thing I do to make money. And I make okay money at it. I pay the bills. Jim's staying in business for 9 years, so knock on wood, I'm very blessed and grateful for that. But this is all I do. So I must do it pretty well. Otherwise, I'd be out of business by now. So I appreciate you listening to me, and I hope that my knowledge is useful for you. Now, with that said, it is hard to kind of decipher in the social media world, who do I listen to? Now, we have podcast number 457, titled Programming Knowledge Resources, where I talk about training programming, nutritional programming, even like recovery and rehab type stuff. And there are knowledge resources you can go check out that I have tried, it tested, and they worked. So podcast 457 is a great place if you are going to dedicate time to education go listen to that podcast, please. Really good informational resources in there. Go check them all out, and you're going to learn more and more and more. Okay? A short way to learn more right now is podcast 485, titled 5 Steps to Success when Working with a New Client. So if you want to build confidence right away, you can go check that out, podcast 485. So that'll give you kind of real quick 5 steps that you can use today to help a new client and help you be more successful with that client and give you more confidence with them. Okay? So dedicate time, and it doesn't have to be every single day, but I'd definitely suggest every day. But set time aside to really take time to learn, not just, randomly watch videos on YouTube. That doesn't count. But check out really good resources. Then test those resources for yourself. Then everything that looked good and felt good, use it on your clients. That's going to be the best sequence for you to build knowledge over time. Anytime somebody asks you a question you don't know, just say, I don't know, go learn it, and then tell them, and then you'll know it forever. So that's another good step on how to handle increasing confidence over time. So those are our 5 steps. Treat yourself like a client. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Do it first. Learn and apply something new each week, and dedicate time to education. So then the last thing I'm going to leave you with is, if you need help as a trainer, we absolutely will help you. So we do ghostwriting services for trainers, where I will write the clients like training and nutrition information, but the client won't ever know. So if you are a trainer and you're struggling with confidence or how to handle a certain situation or a certain client, reach out to us. We would write their training programming for you, and or write their nutrition programming for you. They will never know that I'm involved. So that's why it's called ghostwriting. And we'll teach you why we write the program that way. We teach you why we write the diet that way. So you can learn through us on how to best benefit that client. You then will take that information, apply it to the client. They're going to think you're a freaking genius because you're going to give them the information, not us. And then you get to experiment and learn with that client along the way. Then you'll know how to apply the information to anyone else that fits that category. So I started doing this because, like I said, half my clients are trainers, and they would just come and ask for different questions, different services. And like eventually it just turned into, I'm like, hey, you know what? Just let me write it for you. I'll show you why I wrote it that way. And then you'll know forever. And they said, oh, that's a great idea. And then I went and spent time on it. And I said, hey, I kind of spent some time on this. Would you mind paying me? And they said, sure. So that kind of turned it into the service. So it was something that just kind of grew out of need with my own clients. So if there is anyone, trainers, if you would need a boost of information or try to learn something faster or learn something more efficiently, we're always happy to help. So if you have any confidence issues and you're worried about what you're doing is right, just reach out to us. We'll do a consultation. We'll do some ghostwriting. We'll do whatever we need to do to get you on track and make sure you're confident with what you're doing so you can improve your knowledge and continue to help more and more people. So I sincerely appreciate anyone who's a trainer because you're sharing health and happiness into the world, and we want to support you in that endeavor. So please reach out if there's anything you need at all. Our email is brutalironGym@gmail.com. Cool. Okay, hopefully this podcast was helpful. So apply these lessons. Go listen to the podcast that I named. They'll be in the reference thing for kind of where the description of the podcast is. So check them out and just keep applying the information and keep going. So the more you practice intelligently with information, the better you're going to learn it, the more confidence you're going to get. You can do it. You're awesome. The fact that you actually give a shit to try to do it right means you're a good person and you're going to be successful in the long run. So, good luck to you, and if you need anything, let us know. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. You can tell us at our email, brutalironGym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.